Hello, and welcome to session 5, guys. Holy moly, session 5 of Through the Realm of Light and Shadow. Now, when we last left off, you intrepid group of adventurers had found yourselves kidnapped by an unknown entity being taken to an unknown location. You broke free from your captors and you went from the wagon to, well, a destroyed wagon as you narrowly avoided some of you getting struck by lightning. One of you, unfortunately, Edrahel, got struck by lightning. You subdued the captors and you managed to get a location out of one of them of where you were being taken. Though they did not provide the name of the person who hired them, you learned that you had to journey a little over a week into the center of the Mirkwood, and then from there turn south, a day's journey, and you would find an old ruin. So you decided to group up together and venture into the Mirkwood. It was not without its scrapes and dangers and perils. However, you managed to get by day after day after day. You found encouragement, you also found despair, you found hope, and you also found pain. There were times where you were exhausted, but you were able to recover. And then, most recently, you stumbled across some sort of trap that was laid for you, where you found yourself looping around the exact same part of the Mirkwood, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. You found yourself unable to escape until eventually there was this laughter that emanated through all of your minds. And then an elf, an old elf, made himself known to you. Some of you conversed with him, some of you were ready to draw swords and battle, but eventually you came to terms and you had a conversation wherein he let you know that he was a representative of an organization known as the Silver Hand. He also gave you his name. Does anyone remember?
Maglor.
Moglor. I'm glad you wrote it down, but A's are like the A in father, so Moglor. So Moglor talked to you, told you about the Silver Hand, that he had been tasked with guarding, or rather observing, this area of Rovanion, specifically the Mirkwood, and that he had been following you since you entered the Mirkwood in the first place. He let you know that this trap was laid for you in order to prevent you from encountering danger that he didn't think that you were prepared for that lied ahead. And he didn't make himself known to you, and he did not turn off this magical enchantment until that danger had passed. He did not tell you what the danger was. He told you that this was the only way in which he was allowed to interfere. He was not able to help you if you had ventured into that danger. And so he just prevented you from encountering it. As he was departing, he left you with 3 things. The first, he left Edrahel and a horse, Alagos. A beautiful, beautiful horse, just for you. He also left you with some encouragement to come and find him and the rest of the Silver Hand. There's a fortress that he told you named Tarnos, which is down south of the Mirkwood, just near west of Mordor, called Emin Arnen. Emin Arnen is an area of fields and hills, and somewhere within that area is Tarnost. And he said specifically not to really mention Tarnost, Silver Hand, or his name, because the servants of the Dark Lord are everywhere, and those servants are getting more powerful and also a little bit more bold. The last thing that he left you with was an encouragement to seek out a man who had been in the Mirkwood for nearly 4 weeks at this point, hiding from some pursuer. That Moglor did not tell you who that was. And the man's name, Eldakar, is a human of Dunedain lineage. You guys met up with him, had a nice first encounter, and decided to make camp for the night. The next day, you continued on with your journey, about a day and a half away from the center point of the Mirkwood. Unfortunately, early on in that day's journey, you encountered a pair of stone trolls that you quite literally stumbled into. A fight ensued. Nebuchadnezzar, you managed to protect and defend the majority of your party until After a series of unfortunate attacks, you fell unconscious. Your party was able to stabilize you, however. Dala, the same outcome happened to you as well. You also fell unconscious. However, as a group, the rest of you were able to slay the fell beasts and claim victory over the battle. Dala and Nebuchadnezzar were stabilized. They will either wake up if you're able to restore some hit points to them, or they will remain unconscious for the next 24 hours, at which point they will wake up with 1 hit point. So I will end our little introduction with the same question that I asked at the end of the last session. Would you like to make camp early and just hang out here and lose a day's worth of travel? Or would you like to seek out, try and find some herbs, heal them, and continue on your journey? I will make an addendum. You are welcome to make a camp and also look for herbs if you would like to not continue journeying today. But if you do not look for herbs, you'll have to have a way to carry both Dala and Nebuchadnezzar unless you decide to make camp. So, what would you like to do?
Cyrell says, I think we should make camp here to make sure we're in no shape to continue to travel. I think we should also search for the herbs. We're not sure if we might get attacked later on tonight. So I think we should do all we can to make sure our fallen brethren rise up again. What say you all?
Although I would rather go quickly and continue the journey with them, knowing that we at least could move a little bit faster in that way and get to our destination. I do believe that, as you say, it's better just to make camp and to, well, improve the life of these two that we have right now that are kind of like dead weight, unconscious weight.
If the Mirkwood is as dangerous as Magua was saying, then we should probably find some herbs, because I don't know if we could do that again without Dala and Nebuchadnezzar's help.
You know what? That's a good idea. We also could grab some even for the road, for the trip. We haven't done that since we started, and it turns out to be a good idea. Just from here now on, also, not only for this specific time.
I like to think that I have good ideas.
All right.
Just so you guys know, as players, there are a selection of herbs that you could potentially find, and if you're curious what those are, they are in the player's handbook around page 154 and 155. So while you could choose something specific to look for, you can also make some general survival checks if you're looking for herbs, and I'll let you know what you find. But I just wanted to let you know there are herbs with healing and other very interesting properties. Some of them actually quite powerful and could indeed be found in the Mirkwood. So that's just something for you to keep in mind, so you can kind of learn what some of the herbs and different properties of them might be in Middle Earth.
Do I have to look them up in order to make a survival check?
No, I was just, it'd be good for you to just have an idea. You know, in D&D, there's health potions and strength potions and such. In Middle Earth, it would just be good for you to be aware of different kind of herbs and things that are available to you that you could purchase when you're in a town or find when you're out in the wild like you are now. So that's just an FYI. You don't have to look it up and tell me what you're looking for, because I have that information. But just wanted to give that to you guys so that you can be informed. Cyrell, you were saying.
Cyrell's going to ask Eldakar what are his thoughts.
Well, it turns out I actually have the special ability, Herblore, which has taught me about the plants that grow in the forest. So I think I would be at an advantage for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds good. Whether we make camp or not, sounds like we want to find some herbs, try to help our fallen brethren. I think we should have maybe Eldakar do that. You sound good, and maybe take someone with you.
I can help.
There you go.
I'm pretty well traveled.
There you go. I would like to patrol around a little bit with Will, make sure there's no other surprises, maybe even go back upon our horses to the troll camp just to see if we see anything there that might be use of the party. In the meantime, we can scout ahead. Edrahel, what would you like to do?
I would like to look for herbs around.
Okay. So Cyrell and Will, you're gonna mount up, and actually you're still in a troll camp, so you don't need to mount up. So you're gonna stay at the troll camp with Nebuchadnezzar and Dala and kind of search around that area. And the rest of the three of you are going to go look for herbs, correct?
So how far away from where the trolls camp was? Are
Maybe
we at the
100
troll
feet.
camp?
Okay,
cool.
Yeah, the party was about 100 feet away, and you pulled the trolls sort of an arcing trajectory towards them and met about halfway. So you're 50 to 75 feet from the troll camp.
Sounds good. Edrahel, just so you know, you still sound a little low to me. Sounds good. Yes, Will and I shall patrol the camp and also search around the troll camp, see if we see anything that we might be able to use as a party later.
All right, so give me a perception check. I will just give you advantage. Say Will's helping you.
Awesome. First roll of the game. See how it goes, guys.
Come on.
Natural one.
I did get a natural one. Then I got a 15. 19 with my book.
19, okay. So as you patrol around the camp where these two stone trolls were, you notice two large tents, large because the stone trolls are quite large. You keep an eye out. You have Will standing guard outside of the tent, the first tent, looking, making sure that no other monsters or things sneak up. And so he's keeping an eye and an ear out on the brush as the rest of the party ventures away from you guys. I'm going to assume that you probably brought Dala and Nebuchadnezzar into the camp with you when you came over, and not just leaving them out in the wild.
Of course.
Yes,
Yes.
That would make sense, right? So you bring their unconscious bodies around the campfire that the trolls had made. And as you look inside the first tent, you find a really beaten down, almost kind of disgusting bedroll of some kind. It really looks like the troll had used some vines and twigs to stitch together maybe 2 or 3 bedrolls that adventurers would have on them, and use that as a place to sleep. Nothing really salvageable there.
That's where I'm going to place Nebuchadnezzar.
Really comfortable. As you lay his body down, you actually hear a bit of a squish from the bedroll as it's a little moist. As you lay him down onto the troll's bed. Inside there is also a battered chest, which has a lock on it. It's a pretty basic lock. I don't believe you have the ability to pick it. You could attempt to break it, unless you do have like lock picking tools or something.
I do not, so I would just probably take the time to try to maybe use the hilt of my sword or even my shield to like try to bash it.
Okay, so you use your shield. You don't need to roll for it. After a few hits, you're able to break the lock open. You open up the chest. There's a bag a little over the size of, like, if you hold out your hand, parts of it would kind of slop over the side of your hand. You give it a bit of a jangle. You hear what sound like coins, but there's also something else in the bag. Aside from that, the chest is relatively empty. There's a few pages torn out of some kind of book, but when you look them over, it's ineligible. You can't, not ineligible. It's not legible. That's the word, legible. You can't really make out what the writing is or even what the language is. It just looks like chicken scratch gibberish to you. Would you like to open the pouch?
First, I'm going to pocket the papers. Hopefully someone else in the group might learn from them. I'm going to tell Will to step back a little bit out of the tent as I'm about to open the pouch based on my first experience with opening scrolls and stuff. It's a little traumatic there, but let's go for it.
Yeah, let's hope you don't get amnesia again. So you open up the pouch, make a just kidding. So you open up the pouch, and inside there is indeed some coin. There's about 7 copper pieces, 4 silver, 12 gold. So it's a decent amount. More interestingly, though, is you see something that kind of sparkles inside, and you reach in and you pull out 2 gems. One's a sapphire about the size of my thumb, and you look it over, and it actually is it's not a raw sapphire. It's actually a cut sapphire. It looks very nice. The other gem is a little bit smaller, but also looks equally well cut and taken care of. So it definitely looks like this is something that this particular troll had gained off of an adventurer, or potentially if the troll was hired to do something. They're not completely unintelligent beasts, but who knows? Who's to say?
Very cool. Yeah, I would pocket that, and then when we have time, I would search the other tent and even the trolls themselves for any other stuff.
Okay, so we'll get back to that in a moment. Eldakar, Haley, and Edrahel, I need each of you to make a survival check. Before we do that, Eldakar, you do have advantage. And I need to know, are the 3 of you staying together, or are you going to kind of like like kind of spread out like a search party where you're in sight of each other, but you're like 20, 30 feet away from each other? Are you staying close?
I really would like to stay within sight of each other, but I can see us spreading out.
I agree with the small one.
That's fine.
Okay. So yes, in this case, each of you individually make your checks. Let's start. You guys can all roll, but I'll start with Eldakar. Let me know what you
Not that one. 10?
10 with advantage.
Yes. I
Rough.
don't know if I get any bonuses with that.
Survival is going to be wisdom. So your wisdom modifier, and if you're proficient in the skill, then your proficiency bonus as well.
So probably 12, I guess. Technically.
Okay, well, not bad. 12 is very good. So the first thing that you come across is a very prickly kind of plant. You've seen it a few times here in the Mirkwood. You go to reach for it, having seen some animals in the area eat it. But as you pluck it from the ground, there's this foul odor that comes out of it that makes you almost kind of like, you get, that like acidic twinge you get in your mouth when you feel like something bad's going to happen. You feel that, and you kind of drop that plant, you move on. And about 30 seconds, maybe a minute later, you round this rather large, gnarly, twisted tree, and you look around the back side of it, and there you see 2 stems of this long-leafed plant where it's about 1.5 feet tall, and it's got these long sort of arching leaves coming out of it. And then right out of the center of the stem are these 2 little vines that go up about 3 inches and then kind of do like a curly Q. And there's 2 of them facing opposite directions. And you recognize that plant as Ethylus, which is a healing medicinal herb plant. It's not super common in the Mirkwood. You do consider yourself pretty lucky to have stumbled across that, but it is definitely possible to turn that into a salve, which can heal people in the party. Haley.
No.
9.
9. As you wander through the Mirkwood, you at one point you hear Eldakar yell out that he found something. You continue to look. You don't stumble across any kind of herb or medicinal plant that you think would be of help. Edrahel.
17. Oh, one thing that I didn't mention before is that I want to go around, but I want to take Alagos with me, just to increase the relationship.
I like that. Make an animal handling check for me.
Okay. That would be... not precisely, well, 21.
21.
21.
Okay. Not bad. The first thing that happens as you venture out with your party. You're kind of, I'm assuming that you're leading the horse, you're not riding the horse, as you're looking for herbs. And so you're just walking alongside the horse, speaking to it in Elvish, which it has, just from some of the motions of its body or its eye movements, as you're speaking, you get the sense that it can understand a lot of what you're saying, even though it can't communicate back to you. And you do feel like there's a growing trust that has formed just this afternoon after meeting Alagos. Cool. Good call. The second thing, you said it was 17 on
Yes,
on survival. So you find three herbs. So the first you find around the time Eldakar says that he found something, you also stumble across the exact same plant that he found. You found one stem of Ethelis, which is cool. Seeing that and hearing him just kind of encourages you, and your horse kind of turns to you and gives you a bit of a nudge in one direction, kind of does a little bit of a whinny and breeze, and like kind of guiding you off to the left a little bit. It takes you a few extra feet away from the rest of the group, which makes you uneasy, but you feel like this is a good idea, and you decide to trust the direction that the horse has given you. As you go that way, there's this sort of thicket formed by a handful of trees that have all grown very close together. The horse isn't able to get through, but kind of does this, and you move between two of the trees with maybe a couple extra inches of clearance as you slide between them, and you're met with a brush of this tall, almost grass-like plant that is about as tall as you are. It's about 6 feet tall. Some of the pieces might be up to 7 feet even. You recognize this plant is known as reed mace. Reedmace, reed mace. You also know of this plant being around the Mirkwood and just generally someone who lives off the land. You recognize that if you're able to turn this plant into a salve, it allows you to immediately recover 2 hit dice. So the hit dice that you expend on a short rest to heal, it allows you to immediately get 2 of those back. Usually you only regain them on a long rest. So that's the first plant that you find. The second one is actually exceedingly rare in the Mirkwood. This plant in particular is something that you only really see around the Long Lake, or maybe in areas of Lake Town. Occasionally you've spotted or heard tale of this further west of the Ravanian, around Bree. It really does seem like a boon in this area. And you find 2 stalks of I literally had it.
Oh,
my
the suspense.
All that buildup. I want to get it right because it's a legitimate herb. I'm not just making this up. King Cup. It's called King Cup, one word. So with the reed mace, you found 4 portions, I guess you could say. It takes quite a lot of the reed mace, even though they're massive. It takes a lot to make a salve. So you find 4 portions worth of reed mace that you could attempt to turn into a salve, and you find 2 portions of King Cup. King Cup is this bright yellow flower. It's very bulbous, very gorgeous and beautiful. Usually forms in areas that are very clean and natural and nice, and so it's exceedingly weird to find it in the Mirkwood, but you feel like the horse could smell this sort of sweet smelling plant and lead you to it. So you found 2 portions of King Cup. You also recognize King Cup, being the survivalist that you are, and it is a plant that when you turn it into a salve and consume it, you gain the condition lucky for, well, a random amount of days that I will have to roll for if you consume it. When you have lucky, once a day, when you roll a 1 on a d20, you get to re-roll it.
Do you roll on that, or do we roll on that?
I will. I roll a d4 and add 1.
Okay.
But you can
So-
roll a d4 and add 1. I trust you. Make it more fun. You can roll it.
Do I have to roll right now, or when we?
No, you roll it when whoever takes it will roll it.
Okay.
We'll do that.
So just recap. You said 1 or 3 Athelas.
You found 1 Ethelis. You found 4 Reed Mace, and you found 2 King Cup.
Okay, got it. Cool.
Yep. Derek, go ahead and check the other tent for me. Make another investigation check for this one.
Investigation.
Yes, sir.
I got 16.
16. Slight correction on lucky. It is not limited to once a day. It is for that many days that you have lucky. It is every time you roll a 1. So basically, you can't roll a 1 unless you roll 2 ones. You said 16?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you search the other tent. There is a chest. This one is unlocked. As you open it, it's completely barren, unfortunately. That troll either hasn't found anything, or they have some sort of communal pot the other troll was holding on to. Maybe the other troll was kind of the leader of the two. Bunch of different explanations. Not being someone who knows a lot about stone troll culture in the Mirkwood, it's hard to tell. However, this one has the same kind of disgustingly stitched bedding in his tent. Are you going to put Dala on that one, or?
I am not. I'm gonna make sure that she's comfortable and near the fire. So yeah.
Okay. So you lay out Dala's bedroll. You take it from her pack and give her a nice spot by the fire. As you exit the tent, you have both of the trolls to look over. So go ahead and give me one investigation check, and we'll use it for both of the trolls.
Okay. That's not good. That was 5.
Okay. You inspect the trolls. They each do have the large club that they were using against you guys, which gave them a little bit extra reach, but otherwise does not appear to be magical or powerful in any kind of special way. It's just a big wooden log that they had kind of shaved into a club-like shape. Aside from that, they don't really appear to have any wares of any kind. They weren't wearing special armor. They're mostly tattered clothes that they just kind of stitched together in the wild, but no other valuable or useful things stand out.
Sounds good. I go back in and I grab Nebuchadnezzar, put him by the fire.
Very nice of you. So, Eldikar, Etrahel, Haley, 3 of you, having acquired your herbs, return to camp. And who of you, could be more than one person, would like to try and make some salves or salves, or however you want to say it?
I think Eldikar should do it.
Yes.
I'll go.
Okay. For this, go ahead. You're going to need to use the campfire for the not the Ethelis, but for the reed mace. You'll need to use the campfire because you'll need to actually boil it down into something you can drink. But the King Cup and the Ethelis, you can just mortar and pestle it. So we're going to call this a survival check. So give me your wisdom and your proficiency added to it. So what's your wisdom score?
12.
12. Okay. Is wisdom 12, or is it like a +1? Your wisdom attribute is 12?
I guess +1, it would be 13.
Well, what's your wisdom, the actual number on the attribute?
The number is 12.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, so it's a +3. So roll a d20 and add 3 for me. This will be for the first 2 Ethelis of 4.
16?
16. You succeed on both of those. You now have 2 portions of Ethelis that can be applied to a wound, at which point, when it's applied, the target regains 1d4 +1 hit points immediately.
Nice.
Yep. So that will be enough. You could do one each and wake both of them up. So congratulations. Let's go ahead and do another survival check. This will be for the other two Ethelists.
That one's a 5.
All right. As you're putting those two together, the first one, you get some of the proportions wrong, and it just the healing properties of it kind of fizzle out. As you're working through it, you can see some of the color, the bright green and just the almost glowing nature of it kind of dim a little bit, and it goes a little gray in some spots, and you realize you've spoiled that batch. However, learning from that mistake, you are able to salvage the final Ethelis that you make. So you end up with 3 portions of Ethelis. Now you have the King Cup. And how many King Cup did you find?
I found, sorry, I have it here in my notes.
That's good. You're fine.
2.
2. We're going to do this one at a time. All right. So the King Cup is the one that gives you lucky. So go ahead and make a survival check on the first King Cup as you toss it in your mortar and pestle.
Is this for me or is this for Gabe?
I think they wanted you to do all of them unless someone else would like to do them.
Okay. Just make sure. Since Gabe found it, I didn't know if he wanted to do it himself. You want me to do it?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
There we go. 18 plus 3.
21. Nice. As you put together the first King Cup sap, it goes together beautifully. The bright yellow flowers that make up the plant sort of take over as that dye is kind of leached from the leaves of the plant, and you end up with a beautiful sort of golden salve with streaks of white that almost seem to glow and glimmer as you finish it. Every time that some of the light refracts off of the contents of the pestle as the campfire spits up, it almost sparkles and glows. And so you've got one successful portion of King Cup. Go ahead and do a survival check and see about the second one.
14.
14.
Plus 3.
Plus 3. Oh, 17. Okay.
He's so dramatic.
That makes a difference. 14 would have failed. So as you're putting together the second one, you just learning as you go, follow the exact same process that you did with the first batch of the King Cup sap, and you make another perfect example. You now have 3 Ethelis and 2 King Cup, and now it is time for the Reed Mace, which I believe you have 4 of. Is that correct, Edrahel? 4 Reed Mace. So these you'll need to use the campfire. Because of the tools and instruments you have on hand, you'll be making these in batches of 2, just like the Ethelis. So go ahead and give me your first survival check for Reed Mace.
13.
13 total. All right. As you mix the batch together and put it over the fire, you're kind of talking with Edrahel a little bit about what you're doing and getting some pointers and sharing information. Him being someone who's pretty familiar with the Mirkwood, you get a little bit distracted, unfortunately, and the campfire rages a little bit too long on the Reed Mace, and that batch is spoiled. However, you were on the right track, and by talking with Edrahel and learning a little bit more about the properties of Reed Mace and how to synthesize it, this final check on the last batch, you have advantage.
Yes.
But the first batch is a wash.
It's okay. Everyone burns a s'mores once in a while.
What's a s'more? That sounds delicious.
21.
21. Unfortunately, no. 30 or higher, sorry. On this final batch of salves, you make these last 2 Reed Mace into 2 portions of this sort of tonic that you can drink. Whoever drinks it will immediately regain 2 hit dice, which you can then use on a short rest to heal up a bit. So very valuable. So you have, 2 Reed Mace, which will give you the 2 extra hit dice immediately. You have the King Cup, which will give the person who consumes it lucky for 1d4 plus 1 days. And you have Ethlis, which will heal you for 1d4 plus 1 hit points. So a minimum of 2.
Good job, Eldakar.
Nailed it, man. You got some of each.
Thank you, thank you.
So are we resting for a little bit and then keep walking, or did we decide to make camp?
I don't know if we had a firm decision. I think there was different thoughts. I think either way, we're going to try to race Nebuchadnezzar and Dala back up.
How much time do we have left on the day?
You met the trolls early afternoon. If you were to say, if you wanted to really like power game this, then if you brought them up, gave them each a serving of the Reed Mace, and they took a short rest, and they used all of their hit dice to gain most of their health back, it would take about an hour from right now. And if you moved a little bit faster than you have been, which would be a little less stealthy, you could easily make up the time, and it would be as if, this time wasn't wasted.
I think we should take a short rest. I can also tell a little story while we're resting to help people heal a little better.
I would like to hear a short story. I like stories.
Sounds good.
Good.
So, Eldakar, are you going to apply the salve to Dala and Nebuchadnezzar?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and roll a d4 and add 1. This will be Dala's hit points.
2.
2. All right.
Got a 1, unfortunately.
That's all right. So Dala, all of a sudden, the last thing you remember is this massive arm of a troll heading towards your face. And for a moment you go, exactly. But then everything is black. And you feel yourself slipping away, and you see sort of this gray cloud in the blackness. And it's sort of rushing towards you, and you hear this sound of rushing wind as this wall of gray cloud just comes closer and closer and closer. And all of a sudden you feel everything just kind of stop, almost like you were in a wagon and you stop the horses and you just kind of lurch forward. And as you do, you feel your eyes and you're able to open them, and you're staring up at the horrible canopy that is in the Mirkwood. It's so dark, but for the campfire, even though it's midday, you realize everything you've experienced in the last few days was not a nightmare or a bad dream. You really did almost just die, but you see Eldakar smiling and kneeling over you, and he's applied a salve to your wounds, and you feel them start to mend and some of the pain go away.
Cyrell goes over to Dala and says, "That was a massive hit you took, but you took it like a warrior, and appears that you are made of stronger stuff."
Very wise, Sarah. Very wise.
Totally.
I'm going to enjoy this show.